think there's a lot of people that look at both of us and go like, you know what? They've had their ups and downs, but regardless of what happens to them, they always pick themselves up and they keep moving forward. And I mean, that's what life is about, really.
Was that the first time you juked on top of a ladder?
Yeah, the first time, yeah, and that was spare of the moment type thinking. I think the weight is 300 pounds. I said, it should be fine, me juking a little bit.
This is going to be the final match between the Hardys and Dudleys. I think this is going to go down as one of the most emotional matches in all of TNA.
Zilla, in my opinion, he's got that look, just smooth, kind of handsome, like Roman Reigns. He's kind of got that look.
It's great to see him grown up and thriving in wrestling.
What is a moment that you are so happy you got to share as brothers?
Rewind, recap, relive. Woo! That's what the world is watching.
My guests today are absolute legends and are on the road to Bound for Glory. They're currently double tag champs, capturing the fourth rope tag titles for the first time and winning the TNA Tag Team Championships for the fourth time in their illustrious careers. Please welcome Matt and Jeff, the Hardys. How you guys doing?
Oh, good.
Very good. Thank you. Thanks for having us, John. It's been fun, man. This run at TNA has been a lot of fun for Jeff and I.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I mean, it's been so cool seeing you guys kind of have this, reinvention of yourselves again. I feel like you guys are the king of reinventing. But something coming up for the first time ever are those live events for TNA in Minneapolis, Minnesota on September 4th and 5th. I feel like for a team that's done it all like you guys, it must feel good to still be a part of something like a first time thing, like for TNA.
It does. It feels good to be here and understand that we're in a position. TNA's put us in a position to succeed and like build on the legacy we've already created, and also work with the new young talent, help elevate them, help teach them, help share secrets with them. It's just been a win-win across the board. TNA has really put us in a great position to succeed.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to see the action you guys bring. And I want to get into that crazy Slammiversary ladder match. It was awesome to see. But first, what you guys said leading up to the ladder match, which was that if you didn't win, it might be time to walk away from TNA. And I'm curious, I'll go to you first, Jeff. What kind of prompted that decision from you two?
We're on I call it the endmost extreme run, not the last run, because you never know when it might end, and we are going to go until we can't go anymore. But that's just kind of, you never know. It's so easy to get hurt in professional wrestling matches, especially a tables, ladders, and chairs type match. So you just never know when it might be the end, man. So we're just living for the moment each and every match, and going as hard as we possibly can.
And also, even to throw a little wrinkle into what you were saying there, I think that was an idea. Tommy Dreamer is head of creative more than anybody else, and it's an absolute pleasure to work with him. He understands who we are and what works for us, and how to put us in the best possible positions. And once we did that deal where the Nimbus won the tag team title, he was just saying, what if we go into something where there are a couple times where you lose, and maybe you kind of start to lose a little confidence in yourself, and maybe like, hey, if we can't do this on the highest level possible, maybe it is time for us to hang it up. And there were so many people that were affected by that, which they're like, come on, you got to stop this retirement talk. You can't do that. You can't. But it was good because it made for an interesting story going into that ladder match where we're putting ourselves in a must win situation, and putting a little pressure on ourselves to like prove we still deserve to be in the spot by being one of the greatest teams out there.
Yeah, and Leon Slater's the perfect guy to kind of fire us up, to, like, when we're thinking it might be the end, to really keep us going.
Yeah, what that experience been like to mentor Leon?
It's been great. I mean, because he is someone that grew up a huge Hardy Boys fan. He obviously he does a Swanton 450. He's obviously a huge Jeff fan. The reaction when Jeff showed up and saved me whenever the system was beating me down, his reaction was priceless. They actually got it recorded. He was so excited, like he couldn't believe Jeff Hardy was there in the building. It was so amazing. He's just a great dude, stand-up dude. He really gets it. He soaks up things like a sponge. He's the youngest X Division champion ever. He is going to be a huge and massive star if he can stay healthy, man, because he is so good and so talented, for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Jeff, did you have any input or say on that Swanton 450?
No, I just, when I like saw it for the first time in person, I was just blown away, and I just said, man, that was totally otherworldly, man. The way you did that with such grace and the form, and still tuck at the last minute just blows my mind, man. He's a special talent, man. He's going to be a huge star.
Yeah, no, 100%. On the topic of mentoring, I heard you guys talk about that conversation you had with Shawn Michaels at NXT of kind of going from being the rising stars in wrestling and rising and looking up, and now it's kind of flipped. And now a lot of guys are looking up to you, and you're on that locker room leader type of mentality. Could you just speak to kind of like what that feels like coming full circle at this point in your careers?
It's wild in some ways because I still think deep down, we're 50. I'm 50. He's about to turn 48. But I think internally we still feel like we're somewhere between the range of 18 and 21, like in our soul. We still feel young. We still feel enthusiastic, passionate about what we do. But it's real cool, man. It's a great compliment. I guess it really does go to show we have put in a lot of hard work. We have been very influential to so many people over the years. When we were having that conversation with Shawn Michaels, it was so interesting. He said, I took a lot of time off and I came back and I wrestled. And there were a lot of people that were coming into wrestling at that time said, oh my God, you were my favorite. And I'm so excited to get to work with you. And I get to do this and I get to do that. He said, yeah, people used to care about me, a lot. He said, now nobody really cares. You're those guys, so you're doing that. So I've told everybody here, if they're going to take a picture with you or get an autograph, wait till after the show and don't bother you.
Right.
So he was great though, man. The little run we did where we did 4 weeks on NXT was so much fun. Working with Fraxine was a great experience. And I think there's a lot of people that look at both of us and go like, you know what, the Matt and Jeff Hardy, they've had their ups and downs. They've been through some stuff, but regardless of what happens to them, they always pick themselves up and they keep their chin up and they keep moving forward. And I mean, that's what life is about, really. And I think that is in itself inspirational to a lot of people.
Yeah, we got to go to SummerSlam for the TLC match with the Dudleys in front row, and man, I was having an internal kind of struggle, war with myself, going, "Oh my God, do I have one more left in me? One more 14-footer swanton to just stand up there with arms wide open and feel all that energy of the people?" And oh my God, I thought about that so much throughout the match. So yeah, we'll see, man, but I feel like it's possible.
I can only speak for me, but I hope you do have one more left in you for that match. I can't wait to see it. Thankfully, you guys did win those titles, though, at Slammiversary. It was such a cool match to see. And somehow, with all your ladder matches, Jeff, I heard you say that was your 43rd ladder match. I think you somehow still managed to pull something out that we hadn't seen before with that drop-down ladder. Can you take us back to that moment of climbing that very unique ladder and how that all came about?
Yeah, I think I've been wanting to do that since TLC 2 is the first time I brought it up years ago, like if that was possible. And it just popped in my head leading up to this match. And I asked Tommy Dreamer, and Tommy Dreamer brought that thing to life for me. And it was so cool to see that come into reality at a live TNA show and to actually execute it and for it to work.
Was it harder to climb that ladder than the other ones?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a little harder to climb. I had a bad experience on Fear Factor. I climbed up, one was connected to a helicopter, and I fell off right before I got in the helicopter because I used all arms. I didn't use my legs at all, and I just numbed out and fell into the ocean.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of referred to it as the Fear Factor ladder, which I thought was cool.
That's so cool. Was that the first time?
Logan was out there? Yeah, it was crazy. Out on a pier when we didn't know where we were going, and then this is today's challenge, and a helicopter comes flying in with a rope cable ladder hanging from it. It was a surreal experience.
That show overall is missed, I feel. That was such a wild show for the Factor.
It was. It was great.
Was that the first time you juked on top of a ladder?
Yes, yeah, the first time, yeah, and that was spare of the moment type thinking. I think the weight is 300 pounds. I said it should be fine. Me juking a little bit.
Yeah.
And my daughter, my oldest daughter, got to be there with me, and that made it even more special.
That's awesome. And afterwards, I mean, for so many fans who have followed your guys' career, afterwards was such an awesome moment seeing Bubba Ray come out and challenge you guys to one more go. I don't know if the exact match was named what it's going to be, of tables, ladders, or anything, but, Matt, if someone came to you guys a couple years ago and said that you guys are going to have one more go at the Dudleys, would you have believed them?
Maybe. I'm very much of the mindset of never say never in this business. I have learned my lesson now. Never say never about anything. Anything can happen in this crazy, insane business. But I do think it is real cool. And the way this story is going to be told, and from what I understand, part of this may be starting even heat up a little more in the TV tapings we have here in Minneapolis, which is very exciting, on September 4th and 5th. But this is going to be the final match between the Hardys and Dudleys. And I think the story behind this match is going to be us celebrating a rivalry now that has spanned for over a quarter of a century, right? You know, it's been over 25 years, been 26 years since the first time we faced. And when this match is all said and done, I think this is going to go down as one of the most emotional matches in all of TNA in their history. I think there are going to be people in that venue in Massachusetts crying when this match is all said and done. So it's going to be a very special night. And if you're a fan of anything the Hardys and Dudleys or Hardys, Dudleys, and ENC have all done together, this Hardys Dudleys final match is one you do not want to miss. I promise all of us are asked to make sure it exceeds expectations, but it is going to be one of the most emotional matches in the history of TNA.
Wow, I can't. I mean, that right there made me even more excited. I'll definitely be in attendance for that. Jeff, Dudley's obviously talk a lot about tables and why tables are better, but as a ladder expert, why are ladders the superior weapons to tables?
I don't know. I just always go back to when I would save up. I was landscaping before we made it in pro wrestling, and I would save up to buy a ladder to pretty much destroy it. And my dad never understood that. I was like, Dad, you're going to understand one day. It's going to pay off. You'll understand why I'm doing this. We are going to be the ladders. And I always kind of believe that. But then for it to really happen, and us, we were the ladders, the Edge and Christian, the chairs, and the Dudleys, the tables. It was just so amazing for that to kind of work out the way it did. And even when I would do my old Willow character against Matt's character Surge, we would have ladder matches all the time in armories and high schools. And I always wanted to know back then. I always wanted to be known as the master of ladders, and I think I'm pretty close to maybe being known as that.
I wouldn't say you're far off. Yeah, 43. Is that the most probably ladder matches in wrestling history?
It might be. I think somebody corrected me, and it wasn't 43. They gave me like a 41 or something. I'm not sure. It's somewhere around that 40-ish.
And that's not counting the ones you did on Indies. I mean,
it's true. You're probably well over 43. I don't know who that was, but probably well over 43. Something else that was so cool is we saw Fourth Rope Stars make their debut at TNA, and you, of course, are the Fourth Rope Tag Champs, like I said. Jeff, what did it mean for you to kind of have that moment with Zilla? We saw him come out with the face paint, and I recently heard him say that you've always been kind of a mentor for him.
Yeah, it was amazing, man. And Zilla, in my opinion, he's got that look like that. I don't know how to explain it. That's just smooth, kind of handsome, like Roman Reigns. He's kind of got that look, I think. And I know there's a fitting face paint for him, and I've been designing stuff, and I've sent him a few designs. So next time we're on the same show together, I'm going to try it. But something that will be his, that he can probably do himself, when I'm not on the show. But something that's going to look badass and tough. But he's just got that smooth looking, handsome, cool dude look like Roman Reigns has. He's going to be a big deal in the future.
It's cool too. It feels very special to be around him because we remember as a kid, obviously we were both friends with his dad. Mm-hmm. Jeff and Eki were super close at Umaga. But it's great to see him grown up and thriving in wrestling, and just being around him has been so nice and so refreshing to see.
And just the way he took that finisher, man, he just does a flying version of that. What's it called? The thumb to the I can't even remember.
Samoan Spike,
and he flies into it, man. That's the ultimate kind of modification that happens now that just makes the move so much cooler.
Yeah, he put such a cool twist on it. Matt, I'd love to hear, speaking of moves, that are synonymous, how did the twist of fate become your finisher? How did you invent that?
Well, it started when Michael Hayes wanted to come up with something that we could all do specifically, that any opponent could take, something that was easy. And we learned more from Michael Hayes than we've learned from anyone. He was super. I mean, he was an education nonstop. There were times where he'd take us on the road and he would be crazy, Michael Hayes, where we would want to kill him, but we learned more from him than anybody else in wrestling. And we still call him our wrestling daddy in many ways. It was great. We caught up with him at SummerSlam for quite a while. We started with that, and he had the idea. He said, well, it's kind of like the DDT that, us and the Birds used to use. He said, but if we held a guy here, he said, and then we take this arm and come underneath him, we go into a cutter and down. He said, and you do the move just like that. Just like that. We should call it the JLT. And we kind of all created it together with this motion. But like we said, hey, are you okay if we just tweak that name, maybe make it something a little more Hardy Boyish, and we end up landing at Twist of Fate.
And when I started running the barrier, when they got those new barriers, and I would run the barrier. That was the RTC, the run the curve. You remember the RTC tonight?
Yeah.
Imagine if it went on to be what was it? The RT? No, not RTC. What did you just say? The JLT?
JLT.
JLT.
With
It doesn't
mayonnaise.
roll off. It's not as good as Twist of Fate. And then Jeff, you modified a Twist of Hate, that stunner.
Yeah, twist of stunning fate is what I call that. And I got a new one I've done on the indie show. It's a twist of ravishing fate. It's a little tribute to Rick Rude. Used to do his neck breaker was real weird. You land back to back, but I'll be doing those at the shows here in a few weeks. So super pumped to do that on TNA TV.
Definitely, yeah. September 4th and 5th. It's going to be some awesome live events. Final question for you guys. You've done so much singles and so much tag together, but I'm curious, when you think, together, you put your minds together, what is a moment that you are so happy you got to share as brothers in the wrestling world?
I think one of the coolest moments I thought for both of us is we proved ourselves as one of the great tag teams, especially with all the stuff we did in the late 90s and the TLC matches and table matches and ladder matches. But just whenever we had that chance, when I was the ECW champion and Jeff was the WWE champion, I thought that was really cool that we both held those titles representing a certain brand.
Yeah, and I've got to say, 2017, going back to WWE is probably the one for me. That was a huge moment for us to return to where it all kind of started and to get such a good reaction, at WrestleMania. So yeah, that's the one I choose that's up there.
Yeah, that is a moment I am very grateful for as well. They put us in a great position when they had that idea and we did that.
Yeah, because I had no idea what he was talking about when he said, this expedition of gold. I was like, what is that? We're going to go around and win all these titles. But then for it to end at WrestleMania was just so bizarre and mind-blowing.
I was at that signing that you did in I don't know what it was. It was kind of a very small venue. I almost think hours before WrestleMania.
Yeah, it was for Evolve, right?
It was, was it for Evolve? It was like a Hardy barbecue, I think it was almost branded as. There was food and stuff, right?
It was an Evolve show though. They were having them. We just had a full-fledged House Hardy signing and they had barbecue, They had all this food. And then that was our last thing. We even took a picture right when we came in with everybody, said, okay, well, thank you for a great weekend, Orlando. We'll see you next time.
Yep.
I posted that like we were leaving town and, then we ended up popping in and ran in WrestleMania. We got there literally as quick as we could before we had to go out.
Awesome career and really great legacies you guys are still keeping on. Thank you so much for your time. Like I said, September 4th and 5th, TNA Live events, Minneapolis, Minnesota, first time ever. I can't wait to see what you guys do.
Thank you very much, man. Thanks for having us.
Just like that.
Rewind, recap, relive. Woo! That's what the world is watching.